Hello and welcome along to this brand new Build a Nation story from FM21 with me, Daniel. After the success of last year conquering Northern Ireland with Cliftonville, we're back and this time we're in the second tier in Wales. That's right, welcome along to episode 1 of Building Bangor City. The 27-year-old me has just taken over the Citizens, and this club with a fantastic story needs to get back to the top of Welsh football. We replace Hugo Salais, who will come up in a minute, on an £850 a week deal. I was looking to go back to Northern Ireland or to Scotland, but this club just drew me in. Now, the reason for that, a lot of people have asked, and I've not yet been able to explain properly. So to find out why we're here at Bangor City, and to find out why this challenge was so enticing to me, we're going to have to go on a quick history lesson. So bear with me a moment on this one. Bangor City, a Welsh football club founded in 1876, boasts a proud, trophy-laden history within the Welsh game. The Welsh club has won 8 Welsh Cups and 3 Premier League titles, the latest coming in 2011. The Citizens have also featured in European football competitions in 16 different seasons, with their last appearance in UEFA Europa League qualifiers coming as recently as 2017. That under manager Kevin Nicholson and assistant Gary Taylor-Fletcher, men both well known for their playing careers in English professional football. As one of the most supported clubs in Welsh football, there's certainly a rich tradition within Bangor City's history. However, following the aforementioned European qualifiers came big trouble off the pitch, headed by the involvement of Stephen Vaughan Sr. and Jr., both convicted criminals, in a 2016 consortium takeover by Vaughan Sports Management. Vaughan Jr., a former Chester defender, was later appointed Director of Football at the club. In April 2018, the off-field collapse began. The Welsh FA revoked the club's licence to compete in the top tier of the Welsh football pyramid, as well as in European competition. This meant that despite a second-place finish in the 2017-18 Welsh Premier League season, Bangor City would be demoted to the second tier. During the off-season, the club were also hit with a HMRC winding-up order. However, this was later dismissed after owed taxes were paid. In October 2018, off-the-field issues continued to spiral out of control. The accountancy firm affiliated with the club stepped away, publicly citing concerns regarding the running of Bangor City, including gaps in the club's financial books and missing documentation. Part of this related to money transferred from the club to the owning group's company, putting Vaughan Sports Management at the centre of attention again. After a short time away from the club, Vaughan Jr. was later appointed chairman and manager for brief stints in 2019. In May of last year, FA Wales found the club in breach of a number of regulations. They were fined and deducted 42 points, subject to appeal. An unsuccessful appeal would result in relegation to the third tier of Welsh football. The club also faced a further HMRC winding up order, as well as a transfer embargo. However, following successful appeal in June 2019, the penalties imposed were revised. Most crucially, a reduced 21-point deduction resulting in Bangor staying in the second tier of Welsh football. The club later won a further appeal against FA Wales and had the remaining 21 points reinstated. In September 2019, the turning point came. Bangor's Italian-Argentine player Francesco Serafino appealed to his father, Argentine musician Domenico Serafino, to rescue the club. The musician purchased the club shares owned by Vaughan Sports Management and took sole control of Bangor City. Serafino appointed former Argentine World Cup winner Pedro Pascarella as manager of the team, leading to a number of reputable foreign imports joining both the playing and the coaching team. One of these, former Argentine under-20 international and Barnsley star Hugo Salais, has now taken over the managerial hot seat following a brief playing stint with the club last season. And that's where we come into the story. With the immediate aim of returning Bangor City back to the top flight and former glories, we take over the reins from Hugo with much work to be done. Will we succeed? Let's head to Namporth and find out. We certainly have taken over the reins and we have been appointed on this one-year deal. So let's go through all the introductions. Today we're going to meet our staff, we're going to meet our squad and we're going to have a look around the club. Before we do that though, if you are looking forward to this series, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 content from 2 long-term stories. This one and the head coach which started last night. I cannot thank you enough for your support with that. The numbers are incredible. I've never seen anything like it on my channel. So thank you for your support. and I hope you continue to enjoy it. We'll also be live streaming almost every day during the beta, so plenty to look forward to. So please do get involved, turn that notification bell on and strap yourself in, because this one could be very, very interesting. And here we are, going through the inductions at Bangor City. This is going to be a very difficult job, and we're going to go through the reasons as we go along. Only half a star reputation of the UK leagues, probably Wales is the least well reputable. As you know from the history lesson, we're going to see a lot more exotic names than you would expect in the second tier of Welsh football. But Domenico Serafino, the man himself, is welcoming us. We're at Namporth with 3,400 fans allowed in. We won't be reaching that anytime soon. We've got decent facilities, no director of football, but not so important as the head coach. And the one thing that does make me a little bit suspicious here, and the one rule they do break for my normal Build a Nation series, is that they're already professional. And that's something we don't normally go for. We've got a first 11 lined out in a 4-3-1-2 there. I'm not sure if we're going to need to play that formation. We'll have a look at the squad in a moment. Let's look at the next though. This is the important one. The club vision says we must win promotion by winning the league. So anything other than first this season, and we'll be sacked in year one. But more importantly in this save, and something that I don't know how it's going to play out with scouting ranges and things like that, is the club culture wants us to sign players from Italy and from Argentina. Of course, the dual nationality of Serafino. So whether we're going to be able to do that realistically, and if it's going to cause us any problems, is perhaps going to be something interesting. So we might get a director of football just in for that side of things. We're also expected to reach the Cup quarter-final despite being a second-tier side, and we've only got a one-year deal. So this has the potential to go very wrong. But let's go back in and meet the staff, the players, and have a look at the facilities. Exactly what we all want to see on our first day at the club. We'll be back in a moment for that. So here we are, plenty of players in the last year of their contract, but some very good star ratings, and not very many Welsh names there, let's be honest. The homegrown thing is going to be quite difficult at this club. I don't actually see any Welshmen other than Robbie Parry, who I do recognise ironically, and James Thomas probably is as well. But we'll look at those in a moment. Let's start as we usually do by having a look at the staff screen, because we want to know who we're working with and what we need to improve. We've got no recruitment team at the moment, which is an issue, something we'll address, and only one physio at the club. But the coaching team looks pretty well set up. So let's have a look at who's already here. Our assistant manager is the Italian Ricardo Pellegrino. He's on £300 a week, and he's really not very good. He can also be a head of youth development. I mean, for those two roles, the one thing you've got to be able to do is judge players, and he certainly can't do that. His man management's poor, he's got no tactical knowledge. I'll be hoping that we don't need to extend his deal, because I think we can do better than him. And don't forget, unlike the head coach here, we are in charge of transfers, contracts and staffing. However, we don't use the player search screen and we don't use the staff search screen, just to make it as realistic as possible, and it will slow our development slightly. So we'll be relying on our director of football to give us suggestions. We'll be looking through the transfer rumours. We'll be relying on our scouting team a lot. So early in this window, without a lot of those backroom staff members, it will probably be quite a slow start to the window. But let's move on to our actual head of youth development, Andrew Bell, someone who's crucial in a one-club story. Can he bring through quality youngsters? Probably not, to be honest. Though he is very good working with youngsters, so maybe once they come in, he'll get the best out of them. But I'm not sure he's going to get the best ones in. That's something we'll have to wait and see. We've got Christian Minardi as our goalkeeping coach. He's an Italian again, £275 a week and really not very good. So I think the two coaches will immediately be replaced, as will the assistant. That's going to be my first port of call, as well as getting a recruitment team in. We've got Caitlin Davis as physio, a 22-year-old Welsh lady on £275 a week. Physiotherapy 6, which isn't good, but is better than any of the other key attributes we've seen so far. And of course, in the Welsh second tier, we don't know what the limit is. We don't know what the best possible outcome is. I've never managed at this level before. I've only ever been at the top tier. And then an under-19 manager in Jason Scott, an Englishman to round it off. And he's not good again, but he's probably the best of the lot. So that's the staffing group we've got to work with. But let's have a look at the finances, which look pretty average for this level. A good wage budget though, so we've got £3,000 a week left over. And that fills me with confidence. If there's any holes in the squad, we can potentially fill it. And I'm getting more optimistic as I'm going along, but that could all be ruined when we go to the squad. So let's start with the development centre, because that's where we can promote anyone who's got high quality, and nobody has, so that was easy enough. And let's meet this first team. There's a couple of standouts here. but generally the ratings aren't as good as I expected. So my optimism is suddenly just starting to creep down. But let's meet the stars of this show, see where we need to improve, and we'll try and work out a formation as well, because that first screen had a 4-3-1-2, and there's loads of wingers here, so we're definitely not going to be doing that. And the best players are wingers as well. I think Melo is the joint best at the club. But of course, how accurate the star ratings are going to be, we just don't know, because the ratings are so poor for judging ability and potential. In the head coach, we also had the issue when we joined our first club that all of the players' best positions listed here were then different to their actual natural position. But we start with Barafaldi, and he looks quite good. He's marked as a star player. He is the joint best at the club, 4-star ability. And he's very solid, to be honest. Mentally, he's not as strong, but it's not a disaster. We won't have any problems if he's our first choice for the year. We've got two really well-rated centre-halves as well. Federico Tobler, who is 28 years of age, 3.5-star ability Uruguayan. And his strength is awful. I'm not quite sure why. His composure's not great. But all of the key attributes, the fitness, the tackling, marking and heading, the standards of a centre-half, he's very good at. I've never seen a centre-half with such low strength. It really is quite strange. But he's in at Bangor City, and we're happy to have him as part of the team again. Let's move along to Ignacio Torres. He is another 4-star player, joint best at the club. Uruguayan, he is very good. Can't head the ball to save his life, but everything else he's quite good at. Again, a lack of strength at the back though. Is that something I'm going to have to address? Will I perhaps need to buy a back three and get someone stronger in the middle of them? Or do I just have to be ruthless and replace one of them? But certainly promising signs so far. The other decent rated centre-half is Nicholas De Stefanis. He's 3-star ability. Again, strength is his weakness. He's one of the best tacklers you'll ever see at this level. But everything else is average and his strength is poor. But 3 decent players, so if we don't get people in, it won't be a disaster. What will be a disaster is what I've just spotted next. We don't have any fullbacks bar 2-star Eugenio Dahlia, who is very versatile, probably not naturally a right back. He's okay at what he does and he's got room for improvement. We've also got a lot of these players who are wanted by other Welsh teams on loan, so we might be able to trim the wage bill slightly and improve yet further. I'm just looking at some of these wingers in case they're fullbacks, and we've got one. Caltarucci here, he's a left back, 2-star ability, and if he starts for us, I'm more worried than I was before. He's a very good versatile squad player. We'd love to have him on the bench. But I don't know with those ratings defensively. 2 for marking, 7 for tackling. I don't think I can trust him at fullback as a first choice player anyway. But at least we've got one. If we need it for pre-season, we've got one in. Let's move on to midfield. We've got one Ezekiel Garcia. Here's first up. 28-year-old Argentinian. He's a very good ball winner, good tackler. He's one of those sort of maestros who breaks up the midfield play. And he looks pretty good at what he does. So I'm not too worried about having him in there. Someone who sits in front of the defence who's got a good tackle in them. I think he'll be alright. He is naturally a holding midfielder. So we might have to think about that in terms of shape. Maybe a 5-1 or a 3-3 depending on what you say up front. But yeah, I'm quite happy with him. He's a good player. And he can head the ball as well. So for long goal kicks and direct play in the Welsh leagues, he'll possibly be useful on the defensive side. Let's move on to Facundo Placeres. He is 3-star ability, 4-star potential, and I like him. Mentally, he's got a few deficits. Not the best stamina, but he's got some of the key attributes, and he's my type. Also a backup in holding midfield, bit more of a playmaker though. But again, good in the tackle. We've got a bit of bite there. The one thing I am noticing across this whole Bangor team is there is no strength anywhere, and that is something that's going to have to improve. But he's got potential, and I really like him. I didn't expect to have so many Uruguayans as well. So let me know what you think of this squad so far, because I think it's coming together okay. We're going to leave out the 1-star players, because they're not going to feature, you'd assume. Let's move on to Iridian Dida, who is a 23-year-old right winger, 3-star ability, 3.5 potential. He's Albanian, naturally a centre mid and left mid. So yeah, this thing about natural position seems to be across the board. His attributes do suit being a winger, so he probably is a left-hand sider more naturally. But he likes to cut in, and you know from my experience, that's not my cup of tea, to be honest. So I'm not sure that he'll play regularly for us, but again, he can play anywhere in midfield, and that's a good player to have in the squad. Then on to the attacking star. Melo is the man. 4-star ability, 4-star potential, 27-year-old Brazilian. He's not a left winger at all. He's listed as an attacking midfielder and centre mid, and now we're starting to see why they were suggesting 4-3-1-2. but he is a very good player, certainly a standout, and he's a good playmaker. So we'll try and find a space for him in the team, whether it's centre mid or attacking mid, we'll find a way to make it work. Great natural fitness as well, so he can play 2 games a week if we need it. Melo is the first proper superstar, I'd say. Let's move over to the left wing to Emanuel Agyamang. He's a 22-year-old Ghanaian who can play attacking midfield or up front. His attributes do suit being a winger better, to be fair, so I can understand why the assistant's gone for that. But he's not quite as good as we were expecting. He's wanted by a couple of clubs on loan. He will improve and become a good player, but he's not quite ready for the tactic I want to play yet. The only reason being is because he doesn't have that passing range. And for any central player without a passing range or being able to finish, but if he can get a season out wide as a winger at a Premier League club and do well, then we might have a superstar on our hands. So he's one to watch for the future, definitely. We're going to skip past some of these 2-star players. I've had a very quick nose at them and they're not particularly great. And move on to Salvatore Pascarella, who is a 2.5-star left winger, 3-star potential, or 4-star potential. He's okay. He's got the key attributes again, as I mentioned. And if Agyamang had been listed as a left winger, he'd probably be better than him. But he's on a low wage, he's a breakthrough prospect. If he needs to be on the bench, great. If not, again, like Agyamang, one for the future and we'll loan him out. Because we've got Robbie Parry. He's probably the first Welsh player that's involved in the first team in this squad. But he's been at TNS before, I know that for a fact. I've had him in previous editions of the game where I've done Builder Nations off camera. And he's a decent little left winger who likes to cut inside. So he's still good physically. He's still okay mentally. Maybe dipped a little bit technically, but he has got room for improvement. 4-star potential. So there's not really much between him and Agyamang other than it's his natural position. And that's what I have to work on. Ideally, I'd like him to still be a backup when the season starts. And if we do end up going with 4 central midfielders, he won't be involved at all. He's on a low wage though, so a good player to have in the squad. And a good player to have on the bench if we need to change shape, I guess. So a very mixed bag so far. As we move on to the 3 strikers, Mark Evans is probably not worth looking at. He's not great, to be honest. Ziccarelli is next though. 3-star ability, 4-star potential. He's our poacher, he's our determined player, he's our goal scorer. I'm worried about the composure a little bit. But good first touch, good finishing, good off the ball, good pace and acceleration. You can't ask for much more in lower league football. And Ziccarelli is someone to watch. I've got a feeling it might be a bit of a star for us unless we can get someone brilliant. Then finally, Dante Isla. 3.5-star ability, 3.5 potential. 25-year-old Argentinian. 12 for finishing, 12 first touch, heading, pace, strength. He's actually got strength, which nobody else in our team has. Now it's saying he's an advanced forward or a poacher, but he strikes me as someone who could be a target man. Maybe we'll try it, but he doesn't really work that hard, which I guess is an issue. But I fancy him to be a good player for us. He looks a good one. I'll be honest, I was expecting a slightly better squad, but I think they're going to be alright. If we can add a few players, which we've got the scope to do in the wage bill, we'll be okay. But that's going to rely on us getting in good scouts, good director of football possibly, and good coaches as well, which will take time. Of course, we can't use the staff search screen, so we'll be placing adverts, we'll be going through the scout reports, we'll be asking for our director of football's advice once he's in, we'll be looking at the transfer rumours, and that's the way most of our signings are going to come in. We'll try and offload a few of these squad players as well, or the fringe ones more like. And I think with Bangor City this season, promotion has to be the aim, and promotion should be possible. With these players with high potential, particularly the younger ones, if we get the coaches right with full-time training, they should hopefully progress pretty quickly. So let me know what you think of the squad. Are there any surprises in there? Is it as good as you expected it to be? It's certainly more exotic than many would have thought when I announced Bangor City a few weeks back. But a brilliant story. Let me know what you thought of the history lesson, because it certainly is a club that needs redemption. And hopefully, if you're a Bangor City fan coming along, I can do you proud over the next few months. So the last thing to do, as with the head coach, is check when our first game is on the schedule. So nothing until mid-September, which gives us a 2.5 month pre-season, loads of friendlies organised, and we'll be just improving the squad. So until we get to those 2 Premier League under-23 games, I'm just going to be focusing on improvement and not on the games at all. And once we get to there, that's when I'll start trying to build my squad into a tactic. And hopefully by the time we get to Buckley, we'll be able to do so. There's a couple of big teams down here as well, Llandudno and Airbus, both regulars in the top tier for some time. We are heavy favourites to win the league. If I show you the preview, we are 1 to 91 again, that favourite odds that we've seen twice already. and I'm hoping that means success is on the cards. There's some good players at other clubs and we need to improve, but the media's Dream 11 includes 9 of our players, so that has to be a good sign. But if you did enjoy this first episode, that introduction to Bangor City, please do put a thumbs up on the video, subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM21 content from 2 long-term stories. The head coach started yesterday. I can't thank you enough for your support with it, and if you haven't seen it yet, it will be in the eye above to catch up. Throughout the beta, we'll also be live streaming every weekday at 5:30 for Wigan Athletic, as well as weekend mornings as well. So come and check out the first one today. And of course, the head coach will be back for episode 2 a bit later on this afternoon. Finally, you can vote for my long-term live stream save over on the community page. So go and have your say, and I'll be playing the save you choose as soon as the full game's released. I'm also part of a football podcast, which you can catch up with in the eye above. I've interviewed loads of professional footballers, including a few from the Welsh leagues, and we've got lots of championship predictions, manager specials, and much more over there as well. But a massive thanks for watching this one and joining me for the start of another Build a Nation series. I'm hoping for the same success as Cliftonville, but we know it can all go wrong in the first year. I hope to see you next time for our first competitive game with Bangor City. And thank you so much for your support and watching as always. See you next time.